thấy ngon ha. Mì khô. Kia ăn là đồ xào cũng nhiều quá ba trời. Teacher của ba Tùng đang đến thành phố Tiburon của Murray. Đây là thành phố Tiburon của trong downtown. Wow, ngày lễ đông người.
Okay, this
chúng tôi đi tàu, đi ferry Angel Island. California Angel Island. Angel Island. Đây là Angel Island. Cái đi cái boat này đi ra Angel Island. Đây là anh cho tàu đi ra Angel Island.
What we should do is take a look at the
T-shirt. Đó, người ta đang đứng chờ. T-shirt với má mì. Đang đứng chờ, đang sửa soạn lên tàu, đang đi ra Angel Island. Cái này là cái view Salito. Chọn đi lên tàu, nó đã mở cổng rồi.
lên tàu ra đảo vượt biên.
Ok. Vượt biên đi khỏi cái vùng đất San Francisco này. Đi ra Island sống. Ok. Má mì.
For 3 adults?
Yeah.
3 adults?
Okay.
So your way home, okay?
Thank you. Teacher, cho má mì đang đi. Teacher, you have to introduce.
Đảo Thiên Thần.
Đảo Thiên Thần. Okay. put in your pocket, teacher. Ở thiên thẳng Angel Island. Angel Island. Angel Island.
Welcome aboard.
Hi.
Given our activities, 2 hours might actually be right.
Sợ với mong Mỹ đang ở ngồi chiếm lĩnh trên bồn để phơi nắng. Here, but don't have the sun on the pocket. You want to put the sun? Rồi đi ra tàu bắt đầu moving.
As the vessel, please keep in mind that it can shift unexpectedly, so being sure to hold on to the rails at all times, especially when navigating the stairwell. If you're traveling with children today, we do ask that you keep them close to you and well supervised.
They're waiting, teacher. Right now they
While
come
on board the
out.
vessel, there is no running, jumping, climbing up on top of the benches or the rails, or playing in the stairwell, and no smoking of any kind. Our return trip today depart from Angel Island at 2:20, 3:20, 4:20, and 5:20. At 20 minutes after the hour, every hour until 5:20, and when it does go to 5:20. But be mindful, we've seen a lot of people to the island today, and they'd like to go to 5:20.
Wow.
If you're looking for
đã tới bãi rồi. Đã tới bãi. Wow, hai con chim phụ mặt dữ dội. Đang đi xuống tạm. Đang đi xuống.
Shuttle service to the immigration station. You can purchase tickets at the cafe down to your right. We're going all day.
Đúng không? Wow. Right here. Ở đây nó có Reynolds bike, có bus. Có quán ăn nữa nè. Chị sao thấy không? Mới ra là nhảy vô ăn liền chứ sao.
It's like a lot less.
Angel Island right here. Người ta cũng đi đến đây nhiều ha. Thì đến đây cái hòn đảo nhỏ nhỏ ở sát San Francisco. Nó gọi là hòn đảo này gọi là hòn đảo Angel Island. Bây giờ đang nghiên cứu rồi đi xe bus, shuttle, có mấy chiếc shuttle ở đây. Mấy chiếc shuttle ở đây đang chở chạy vòng vòng. Cái tôi đang đứng chờ thời. Tour. This one tour. Teacher, mommy go tour. No, tour. You want to sit outside?
Scenery, some historic sights, some fabulous views, and if we get lucky, maybe you'll see some wildlife. your eyes open for deer. There are over 100 headed deer on the island. We do see them occasionally. Also, you're going to hear a couple of times on the audio that there are no coyotes here. Well, that's no longer true. We do have some coyotes here, and actually we've been seeing them more than the deer lately. So keep your eyes open.
The dramatic history. This tour is partly sponsored by Kodak. Meet some of your guides. I'm Pamela Pleasant.
My name is Tom Lindbergh.
My name is Dale Cheek.
I'm Mary Noyes.
I'm Ted Weber.
On San Francisco Bay. For those who don't have a boat, Angel Island is one of the bay's best kept secret. As the tram turns left, away from the cove, we'll pass one of the island's picnic areas. All of the major sites on the island have picnic tables, water fountains, restrooms, and other facilities for your comfort. To the right, the large building is one of the park's visitor centers and the park headquarters. Angel Island is the largest island in the bay, 740 acres, a little more than 1 square mile. It's a California state park. This tour lasts approximately 1 hour. The only way back to shore is by ferry boat. Please keep track of the time. You wouldn't want to miss your ferry back to the mainland. Ayala Cove was named for Spanish Naval Lieutenant Juan Manuel de Ayala. The Spanish were the first Europeans to settle San Francisco Bay. In 1775, Ayala's packet ship, the San Carlos, sailed through the Golden Gate. The mouth of the bay was called the Golden Gate long before there was a bridge. When the tram turns right, we've reached the Perimeter Road. It circles Angel Island. Across the road is a redwood water tank. Spanish explorers finally sighted San Francisco Bay on a land expedition, and Ayala sailed through the Golden Gate to chart the bay. He landed at Angel Island on August 13, 1775. Ayala called the island Isla de Nuestra Señora de los Ángeles. When the Spanish sailed into the bay, they were met by the native Californians. The Coast Meanwhile sailed San Francisco Bay in two-lead boats called balsas.
These are two boats. They're actually half some of them. The early explorers to the hips of the water. They dug canals around the bay.
The Coast Miwok in their balsas circled the San Carlos and bartered with the crew. Within a generation, most of the Miwok had been forced to live in Spanish missions. There, they were exposed to diseases unknown to their culture, and their population decreased dramatically. California passed from Spain to Mexico in 1821. Mexico encouraged development of California by offering settlers large parcels of land. In 1839, the governor of Mexico granted Angel Island to Don Antonio Ocio, an aristocrat who managed the customs house in Monterey. Although he never lived on the island, Ocio raised cattle here, and his workmen cultivated some of the land. As we round the curve, the tram will pause for a moment. Please remain seated.
That's where we came from.
Okay.
Right there.
This
South
point
Salinas
west of
over that
Ayala
way.
Cove is known as Point Ione. In clear weather, you should have a beautiful view. If it's foggy, as it so often is in summer, you may have to use your imagination. The narrow channel separating us from the mainland is called Raccoon Strait. Directly north across Raccoon Strait from here is a peninsula called Tiburon. To the left of Tiburon, and joined to it by roadways and landfill, is the narrow island of Belvedere. Behind Belvedere is Richardson Bay. The peak beyond Richardson Bay is Mount Tamalpais.
Yeah.
To the left, along the hills near the mouth of the bay, you'll see the houses of Sausalito. Now let's move on to Camp Reynolds, 100 feet long. San Francisco Bay was a wooded valley. Pamela Pleasant is a docent with the Angel Island Association.
Angel Island was just one of the many hills in the valley, and the Pacific Ocean was about 30 miles west of here.
When the ocean rose after the Ice Age, filling in the bay, Angel Island was cut off from the mainland. In 1846, the United States went to war with Mexico, claimed possession of California. Mexico signed a treaty surrendering California to the U.S. 2 years later, 1 week after James Marshall found gold at Sutter's Mill. The gold rush brought the world sailing through the Golden Gate. When California joined the Union, President Millard Fillmore declared Angel Island a military reservation. Camp Reynolds was built in 1863 during the Civil War. Cannons at Camp Reynolds were trained toward the Golden Gate to defend against Confederate ships. Fortunately, these never came. The weathered red building ahead was a hospital. It was completed in 1904 and was used for training Army surgeons.
Now it's haunted.
It features the largest collection of wood.
Oh, I can understand that. It's very haunted.
This one, the Happy Town.
Camp Reynolds features the largest collection of wood-frame Civil War buildings left in the nation today. In the 1980s, Dr. Robert and Mary Noyes restored Quarters 11 and the Bakehouse at Camp Reynolds. They lived here in an army tent while they worked.
We were visited by raccoons and by curious passersby and so forth.
People used to say, oh, you mean you live in Montana for 5 months? It's terrible. I can't think of anything more fun because we could hear the sound of ships.
You got good view here.
I didn't really feel isolated at all.
Wow.
The work of Bob and Mary Noyes was a powerful inspiration for today's Angel Island Association. From here, you have an overview of Camp Reynolds. The grassy incline is the parade ground. Past the parade ground at the Officers' Quarters 11. Tours of Quarters 11 in the Bakehouse are available most weekends, April through October. On weekends, there are also cannon firings down by the water.
Okay, we walk.
This is Camp Reynolds. It was named for John Reynolds. He was a Civil War general and a pivotal figure at the Battle of Gettysburg. This small house is the bakehouse, and it's still a functioning bakehouse. Throughout normal years, we have new recruits that come out here as part of a living history building that you probably noticed down at the water's edge, and they learn about Civil War life. And they come into the bakehouse where they learn to bake bread in the wood-fired ovens.
Oh my gosh.
And cinnamon rolls. The next house was officers' quarters. The house out the end was the camp commander's house. The houses that you see going along the parade ground were also officers' quarters. Well, if you're familiar with the military, you know not much happens if we don't have enlisted men. Where were they? Well, there used to be large barracks on the other side of the parade ground. Those buildings obviously have not survived. But if you were to walk down the road over there, you'd see the foundations. They're still in the ground. This camp was up and running from 1863 until the end of World War II. In 1900, it became part of Fort Mcdowell, which you'll see later on the east side of the island.
We'll stop here. Ahead on the right, you'll see a small white building that was the chapel at Camp Reynolds. It was also used as a schoolhouse. Look around for a tree with bark that's hanging in strips, as if it's been shredded. The leaves are long and pointed. This is a eucalyptus. It's an exotic species here. That means it isn't native to Angel Island. Before Europeans discovered the bay, Native trees such as the toyon, madrone, coast live oak, and bay laurel covered much of Angel Island. That all changed in the early 19th century. Whaling vessels cut their fire working to limit them to a few groves near historic sites. Our next stop just ahead is called Battery Ledyard. This was the site of one of 3 artillery batteries built on Angel Island after the Spanish-American War. Battery Ledyard was completed in 1904 and declared obsolete in 1909. No military installation on San Francisco Bay has ever fired a shot in anger.
Golden Gate right here. Got all the bridges.
Wow. Boy, this is amazing. Amazing. I want to set my bag up on the chair.
What remains of the gun batteries over the edge, right back here. One of 20 Endicott batteries on the island.
Chúng ta see cái cầu.
Why don't you guys turn a little bit? Right here. Yeah, this is a little bit.
Yeah, cái cầu. Rick. San Francisco over there. No, Alcatraz Gardens.
Should we take some of you?
San Francisco.
You do a TikTok.
And
Try again, Tom.
Go across the bridge.
Say no more. We are the exactly.
Since I'm only 49 anyway. Water's
Yes.
The history of it, financing of it, the engineering of it, the aesthetics of it, and you know, as long as suspension bridge in the world, and they build it in the and it only lasts 12, 13 years.
Take one of you together. Take one of you together. You're so beautiful. You two. This is fancy. Tell me where to push. Okay. Okay. You know what? We're gonna have to get a couple.
Do all the math, which now CAD design does. Yeah. And all the calculations.
Now we got to get the pictures in the background, or the city in the background. All right.
Ok, lên xe tiếp tục hành quân.
I think it has something to do with the gold rush, but that's actually not the case. It was named in 1846 by John Fremont, the explorer and military officer. He was here in the bay, probably with the army at the outset of the Mexican-American War when the United States fought Mexico for control of California. And he probably had a view much like the one we have here, minus the bridge, of course. And I'm guessing he was looking out there at about sunset when it's so beautiful. He was so struck by the view, he named it the Golden Gate. He said it reminded him of the Golden Horn, a similar spot in the Bosphorus Straits of Turkey. I'm rather impressed that in 1846 he found his way to Turkey.
Yes, that's true.
As we head east along the south side of the island, look to your right. You'll see a sandy beach. This is Pearl's Beach. It was named after James Pearl, a civilian handyman and dairy farmer who lived on the island and worked for the Army during the 1860s.
Hard to tell. Took right up.
James Pearl's position was inherited by his son, Fred, who worked for the Army for 40 years. Fred Pearl was the last landowner on Angel Island. Because of its location on the windward side of the island, Pearl's Beach is a favorite spot for beachcombing. It offers a dramatic view of the Golden Gate. Above Pearl's Beach, notice the open plot of land sloping up toward the Pearl Road. This area is known as Alcatraz Gardens. In 1865, soldiers stationed at Alcatraz planted vegetables here. Fresh produce from the gardens was shared among the troops at Alcatraz and Camp Reynolds. Later, when Alcatraz became a military prison, prisoners were assigned to the gardening work. By then, better quality vegetables were available more cheaply in San Francisco markets. On the left, you'll see an outcropping of rock. As the tram approaches this outcropping, note the rock's greenish color. This is Serpentine, the official state rock of California. Serpentine was quarried from this site to supply the construction of Battery Ledyard. Just to the right of the quarry site is a large weather-beaten structure. This is a rock crusher. It was built in 1931. Army engineers Today, neither human hunters nor any other animal on the island preys on deer.
Don't have any predators. There aren't any coyotes, there's no mountain lions, there's no wildcats. The population is certain to expand and expand and expand.
Deer overpopulation leads to hunger, disease, and death.
Take a look out here in the water. Can you see the crazy colors out there off that point?
Yeah.
The San Francisco Bay is an estuary. And estuaries, and what you're looking at there is the lighter colored river water coming in from the Sacramento River, meeting the tidal flow from the ocean. It's all going to taste salty, so I really should say predominantly river water. The tidal flow can get about 60 miles upstream, almost all the way to Sacramento. So fresh and the salt have been rubbing elbows for some distance. That's birds, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're all familiar with the story of the three escapees from Alcatraz.
Mm-hmm.
You may recall that they made a raft out of rubber raincoats as part of their escape. That beach over there in that point is where the raft was found. Empty.
It almost looks like you could swim.
Yeah, it's really not that far.
There is the things to read
The tram will... Ahead on the right, you should be able to see a long, narrow neck of land extending out into the bay. This is Point Blunt. At the tip of Point Blunt, shipwrecks are always a danger when the bay is foggy. The earliest warning system on Angel Island was not a lighthouse, but a fog bell. Juliet Nichols was the bellkeeper in 1906. One evening when she was alone, a heavy fog shrouded the bay. Pamela Pleasant.
Now, a lot of ships moving in and out of the bay because of reconstruction of the city after the 1906 earthquake. And the bell's mechanism broke. Juliet went out and rang the bell with a hammer for over 20 hours.
Without stopping to rest, Juliet Nichols hit the fog bell every 18 seconds until the fog lifted to warn ships away from the island. 2 days later, Nichols stood vigil once again when the mechanism walked from the dock in Ayala Cove. The Sunset Trail, with its views toward the Golden Gate, is the most direct way up the mountain. It's also the steepest. The Northridge Trail takes a longer, more gradual route through meadows that overlook the East Bay and the Tiburon Peninsula.
The top of that island, 781 feet above San Francisco Bay, is awesome. It's the perfect height to see San Francisco Bay.
From the top there's a 360.
Good weather from the top of the island you can see as far north as Mount St. Helena at the end of the Napa Valley, east to Mount Diablo, and south to San Jose.
It's a wonderful hike up. In the spring, those meadows have appeared to wow. It's a spectacular view because you're close to the meadows.
Several of the island's 9 environmental campsites have spectacular views. You can ask for hiking and camping information at the end of the tour. Angel Island has its own unique habitat. The number of animal species is limited. Most visitors are surprised to learn which common animals are not found here. For example, there are no rabbits, squirrels, opossums, skunks, foxes, or coyotes. There are also no poisonous snakes.
No coyotes.
Most animals hide when they hear humans approaching, but animals on the island have adapted to a certain amount of human activity. If you spot any animals today, please don't try to touch or feed them. Because of its isolation from the mainland, Angel Island is a unique habitat for humans as well as animals. Today, only a small number of people live on the island. residence is limited to park staff members and their families. About 20 to 25. For the few who live on the island, daily routines can easily become an adventure. A trip to the grocery store, for example, is often a day's work. For Mary Noyes, the island's peaceful isolation was its own reward.
Weekends particularly, there'd be lots of people around. We enjoyed it. It was fun. That's why we were there. Suddenly, about 6 o'clock at night, we'd turn to each other and we'd say, "Have they all gone home?"
This plateau on the left was the Nike missile set. Straight ahead of us is Berkeley. I think you might be able to make out the campanile in the bell tower at UC Berkeley.
In 1900, all Army installations on Angel Island were rechristened Fort Mcdowell. Camp Reynolds became the West Garrison of the fort. Command headquarters was located at the East Garrison, and it became the center of activity on the island. Fort Mcdowell was used first during the Spanish-American War, then during the Philippine insurrection that followed.
It's used during World War I and extremely heavily used during World War II, especially when the United States went down together.
Our next stop is the East Garrison. We'll be there in about 5 minutes. When people say Fort McDowell, they usually mean the East Garrison. The first installation at East Garrison was a tent hospital. Troops who served in the Pacific often were exposed to malaria or other tropical diseases. They had to learn Angel Island. Next, Fort McDowell became a depot for recruits and a port of embarkation for duty in the Pacific. Recruits were trained during World War II.
Well, I first saw Angel Island in August of 1944. I had been overseas and was shipped back through the port of embarkation here in San Francisco. So on that morning that we came through the Golden Gate Bridge, it was early morning, everybody was very emotional. They played California Here I Come on the loudspeaker system, and so help me, everybody stood there crying.
This is the East Garrison of Fort McDowell. To the left is a row of 3-story buildings. These were officers' quarters. Now, park personnel and their families live here. The ball field and picnic area to the right are where the parade ground was. Beyond that is a huge building. This is the barracks where Ted Weber stayed in 1943.
I can remember that I had an upper bunk, and from that bunk through the window I had a view of the San Francisco skyline at night, which was kind of romantic.
The East Garrison was built shortly after Battery Ledyard. Most of the buildings here date between 1910 and 1912. Fort McDowell was part of the San Francisco Port of Embarkation. With its mission revival architecture and its magnificent setting, this was a beautiful base. As the tram travels along Officers Row, notice the stand of cyclists lining the right side of the road. These trees were originally a well-trained hedge. Ahead, at the end of Officers Row, is the administration building. Once we pass the administration building, look for a newer yellow building on the left.
I remember the chapel very clearly, perhaps because it was a prototype of Army chapel. Exactly like the chapel of our late campus.
This chapel is open to the public. It's become a romantic spot for weddings.
Really?
Oh.
What?
Past the chapel is the hospital. Soldiers were examined here before they shipped out, or after they returned from overseas. It was last used as headquarters for the Nike Missile Command. You can still see the crossed cannon artillery insignia at the top of the building. The most exciting time at Fort Mcdowell came at the end of World War II, when ships loaded with returning servicemen poured through the Golden Gate. A sign on the south slope of Angel Island in letters 60 feet high said, "Welcome home, well done." In 1946, the Army closed. Our next stop is the United Station on the brink of ruin.
So the young people, the ages of 12 and 21,
After the exclusionary laws were passed, only ethnic Chinese who were already citizens could remain in the U.S. The one loophole was that relatives of citizens were allowed to join their families in America. As we turn right, you'll see signs from China Cove and the Angel Island Immigration Station.
Oh my gosh, she's gorgeous.
On the left is an old glue bar. Across the road from it on the right, we see foundations for staff houses.
My name is Dale Chief, one of the volunteers at the immigration station.
Dale Ching came to the United States in 1937. He was detained here on Angel Island.
They tell you about all your luggage. You just do it when you're going in. You just follow the guard until you want to go to the other.
Just ahead, notice the tall black monument. This is the gate of Vic Bergeron, founder of the Trader Vic's restaurants. On the front of this monument is a poem in Chinese. In English, the poem reads, "Leaving their homes and villages, they crossed the ocean only to endure confinement in these barracks. Conquering frontiers and barriers, they pioneered a new life at the Golden Gate." After immigrants were examined in hospital, guards escorted them to their quarters. At any one time, up to 300 men and 50 women lived together locked in prison. Look up the hill to your left. The long building is the men's barracks where Dale Ching was confined for 3.5 months. Today, the men's barracks becomes a museum. During museum hours, volunteers are on duty to answer your questions about the immigration station. Near the water's edge, you can see a bell on a wooden crane. This bell hung at the end of the immigration station here, which is no longer here. Look at the grassy area to the left of the tram. A huge administration building covered this line. It was destroyed by fire in 1940.
Yes, please. Not
Đây là xe tour chạy around Angel Island. Tour around the island.
Refurbish that building, that's now a museum. That museum, you'll hear about the poetry on the wall, that's where that is. If you look up here through the tree, you can see the old hospital building, that's just recently been renovated, and there's a museum in there. To get it done.
US Navigation Station, Angel Island, California, 1910. Island. Đây là mình từ mấy người ở immigrant.
Beyond the Richmond Santa Fe Bridge, at the north end of San Francisco Bay, is San Pablo Bay. Beyond it is Sassoon Bay, and beyond that, the mouth of the Sacramento River. As we round a curve, you might be able to see different colors in the waters of Raccoon Strait. The variation in color shows where the current from the Sacramento River collides with the tidal flow coming in through the Golden Gate. Sills gives the freshwater a more murky or even brownish appearance. The saltwater tends to be darker and has more of a blue or green tint.
The island is influenced by different currents. The strongest currents of all are in Raccoon Strait. The currents there can get up to 6-7 knots.
At 162 feet, Raccoon Strait is the second deepest channel in the bay. Only the Golden Gate is deeper, with its maximum depth of 333 feet. Raccoon Strait is not named for the animal, although raccoons are found on Angel Island. The name comes from a British sloop of war while its hull was repaired. Cove, where we began, is the final historic site on our tour. In 1892, it was known as Hospital Cove. That was the year a U.S. Marine Hospital Service quarantine facility opened there.
The quarantine station on Angel Island was established in this mountain. The ships that are descended
Ships came to port in San Francisco from all over the world. Many of them sailed here from the Pacific, where the ship, the island's splendid romantic isolation from San Francisco, finally made operations here too costly to continue. The Army left for good in 1962, just short of 100 years after they built Camp Reynolds. Bob Noyes remembers the contribution of marine conservationist Caroline Livermore, one of many who worked to create Angel Island State Park.
What happens when the military moves out of any property? It finally winds up, you might say, on the auction block, and that happened to Angel Island. Mrs. Livermore was responsible for saying, I don't think Angel Island should be subdivided.
Caroline Livermore realized the importance of preserving Angel Island in its pristine natural state. In 1954, 2 years after the quarantine facility at Ayala Cove closed, the federal government gave the 7 acres of the cove to the state of California. In 1963, this acreage and the rest of the island became a state park. At the heart of the densely populated Bay Area, Angel Island State Park was explored for days.
I really want more people to return to Angel Island. I don't really know of any other spot in the country where you have a 740-acre naturally preserved park within city limits almost.
This is a beautiful, beautiful park.
Wonderful is you want to take your children there at least once a year as they grow up. It's very, very ridiculous. It's a good
So beautiful. Ủa, mình trở về đây hả? Hả? Ba Trung tưởng ba Trung tưởng not yet. Ai chờ đâu ba Trung nhìn cái so. Ủa, we come back.
một phát nữa rồi. Ông không bù nữa. Không cô đâu. Wait, I look paparazzi. Paparazzi. I see the hikers on in the ferry. I take it.
Cà nông, đây là pháo nằm canh cửa biển, nằm ở vùng này đây. Cái cầu ơi kìa. Chiếc này chiếc đi người ta đi du lịch, đi tour. Này là đang ở hòn đảo Angel Island. Đó, đây làm hố hồng hào đây. Hồi xưa đó có nằm đại bác nằm đó. Oh yeah. Đây là hòn đảo Island, canh ra ngay cửa biển. Đó đây, đó là hòn đảo Tiburon right there. Gió quá. Wow. Từ hòn đảo Angel Island nhìn qua gặp thành phố San Francisco there. Đây, gặp thành phố San Francisco. Quay một vòng. Đây là cái trụ antenna của San Francisco. Đến một cái vòng nữa gặp cái cầu Golden Gate. Cargo ship coming. Cargo ship coming. Còn cái cầu bên kia là cái cầu Berwick. Cầu Berwick Đà Nẵng.
San Francisco. Yeah, take me.
Đang đua, sailboat đang đua. Wow.
Okay, San Francisco.
Bây giờ chúng tôi đi về, đi ferry về ha Tisha ha. We go ferry.
Thành công, bây giờ đi về.
Chúng ta vượt biên qua Ireland. Bây giờ chúng tôi đi về. Vượt biên ra đảo một ngày, bây giờ họ đi về. Vượt biên qua đảo, giờ phải đi về. Đến giờ phải về. Island, Angel Island.
You have your ticket, sir?
Yeah, treat.
Oh, tickets?
Ra phơi nắng nữa hả chị Trần? Go upstairs.
Right now. Look, I have some.
Đó, bây giờ đang đi về. Đang đi về. Go straight. nay xong một ngày vượt biên. Come back to your island. Nó ve ra đẹp quá. Nó ve ra chứ sao? They back up very fast hả? Đi ra parking, we get the car. We got parking, we get the car. Okay. Okay, we're done. Xong. Đi về. Lên xe. Back home.
Really not? Yeah. I know. I know it a lot. I eat like that.
Okay, go ahead.